Hello, everybody. This is Pete from Paw Labs, and today I'm doing an update on the war game. And I'm gonna put the code out there on the website again for those of you who are tracking the code and laying your hands on it and tearing it apart and figuring it out. Uh, because I've done an enormous chunk of code into here. Now, first, I just want to show you some of the progress. We're almost there, to believe it or not. There's not going to be a whole lot more to add. We have combat and moving and stuff like that. But let's come in here and we're going to host the game. Now, the first thing you're going to see, or rather not see, is the server. I've turned the server on to hidden. So it doesn't even show up in your status bar down there. It's just gone. Uh, so as a recourse, I've also added some code, which I'll show you in a minute, that makes sure that the server's been killed prior to hosting another game. So here we go. We're going to fire up the server. We're still going to get the debug window, which I'll get out of the way. And then we can launch the game. So now, as you can see, we have units, okay? We have cities. We have all of this kind of stuff actually on our game board. So we have the categories. If I come over here and click a hex, we can select a hex. This will have to get a lot faster. I'm thinking I turn it off and then I do all the work and then I turn it back on, and I'm going to wait and do all the work and then turn it off and back on, or something to that effect. Um, so anyhow, we have units. The selection isn't quite working yet. I think it always goes back to the category of the graphics screen. Uh, it is capturing the selected hex up here. So the biggie really was adding in the actual images. And that was, I think, a pretty important piece of this. But first, let me show you in the host game. This is the kill routine that says, if you can find the WarGame server exe running, kill it. Okay. So this runs the kill task to make sure that server's gone and not hanging out there and the tasks just running away, blocking any new execution of the game. So that's the chunk of code I really wanted to show you first. And now I made changes to code you've already seen. These two procedures have been moved off into a shared unit code. So if you remember back on, couldn't say the day or video, but when we're designing the game here, we had some pretty slick code that would create our units for us. Okay, it takes the game player object of the player. He gets the element type, somebody to put it into, and then movement and attack values. And he builds the entire image from scratch, gets a hold of the facing, which way does it face, right or left, and that little routine does the whole thing. So what I decided was, yes, I needed this code on the creator side of this game, but we also needed it on the player side. So the way to share code when you've got it all into one app is simply just to pull these functions out, and then you call the new code sheets version, and we take it out of where it was. So a bunch of code has gone into place at the beginning of the WarGame player. So we come in here and say, there's the IP servers start. And when we fire off the server, we now include the hidden parameter on the run start thing. And so that's pretty cool. And here's our build units. Um, we have build city map and build units. These are bracketed with their own comments and stuff for you to see. And so what we're doing is going through our database, our WarGame object, and finding where there's a city, and then finding out who owns the city. And then based on that, we're attaching the correct town image and then putting it on the map. Well, we're loading the image into the object of the WarGame for the city. Okay, because remember, we exported JSON. JSON just carries a number. It doesn't carry the image itself, doesn't carry the binary. So what I'm doing is going in here and drawing those images into the map, city map collection, city image. I'm creating these guys now. And then same thing on the player, the units, the WarGame units. We come in and yeah, I've done a lot of commenting, single line comments here and there where it's kind of important to point out. So what we're doing is loading our sprite sheet, our unit sprite sheet, and then we come down here based on the artillery and type of unit, and then we're calling the draw unit image, which was over here now in shared unit code. Okay, so he draws the unit just like we did on the uh, creator side, and then we actually then push it into the game unit collection as the unit's image. So now we actually have our picture of the game unit inside our object of WarGame. So keeping up with all our homework of freeing images as we use them to where we don't end up with a memory leak. And then I come down here and I build the initial map image for the units layer of the game map. So if we come down to build map, that's where this is all right trying to build for. You have the selected hex of wherever that happens to be. We also have the map image. So this is the layer of the map that is the cities where they're placed individually in their little locations. And then we actually have the game units map built. So all of these layers of the map are then drawn to the image, and then the image is drawn to the canvas, and then presto, we have the whole thing working. So it's pretty slick, I think, on how this all works and how it all ties together. I still have a few things to work out. I like looking at this. I come out here every now and again and just fire it up and just got to get rid of that. And then we can say, okay, yep, launch it, I'll go. And there we go. We're getting really, really close. So the minute I can select this, then we could actually track the cursor and say, you've selected this unit and this will be the unit over here. And I'm going to put a checkbox next to him because you've selected him. And when you move the cursor, we'll change the cursor. And as you move to hexes, we'll update what the cost of movement is for him to get there. Okay. And then movement really is nothing more than we delete this hex really on the unit map and then presto him in a new location. So really that's all it's going to amount to. And that's how we move units across the screen. So, and of course, now I've also gone into the database. Let's see. This was, I guess, omitted initially, but I knew I would eventually get to it. Let me go ahead and launch Class Builder real quick because that's the easiest way to show you. And So what I've done, come on, finish loading, is in game unit, I now have a used movement field right underneath movement. I have used movement. We don't want to when a unit moves across the screen, we don't want to change his movement value. We still want the movement value, but we want to start adding. We could either add negative uh, points used, or we can just leave it positive and subtract the 2 for the unit for it to be displayed properly on the unit. And then when you get resupplied, used movement goes to 0, and then he's back to full movement. And all we've done is taken and changed this field, and we haven't touched the original. Okay, so that's one set of changes that's been done. I did modify the WarGame object from its original construction for the game so far by putting in what is our current map index, what is our current turn, who is the current player index, and then the turn phase ID. So that way we can track if we save the game, we can track where to start it up again. And so that's in place. And I have gone out and built the turn phase object. We have movement, combat, and resupply. And my thinking is, and I haven't quite figured whether movement is going to be simultaneous and you're going to give orders to units to move or to fight. And then and I haven't quite figured out how I want to do that, because we could either have the Allies move first and then Germany move, or you can have Germany move first and then it's the Allies' turn, and then combat all takes place at the end of the movement turn cycle. Or what we can do, and this is a concept, I may put a voting thing out there. Y'all make comments and tell me how you might want it to happen. Is you put in an order and I'll draw a line to where he's going to move to. And if he's going to attack, we'll draw a line with a big bomb on it or something and say, okay, his goal is to attack here. But if somebody else then attacks him, he has to defend that attack. Therefore, he cannot attack on his orders. Okay? He has to defend himself before he can attack on his own. Okay? Likewise with movement, if he gets attacked, then he's got to hunker down and defend. He can't move. Okay? Or if somebody moves into his zone of control, then he can't move once he's in somebody's zone of control. And then we'll basically randomize the unit movement. So we'll put in orders. Everybody puts in their orders for movement. And then when both players have done the end phase, then we actually move the units in whatever order that the computer decides. We'll randomize it or something. And then if people get attacked or people get put into zones of control and then can't move, then those orders get just skipped. And I haven't decided how I want to do that yet. Or do we want to do it in phases, or do we want to do it as simultaneous? I'm leaning towards simultaneous. And then once all of that is done, then we will actually go through the screen hex by hex and say, okay, is there combat in this hex? And we'll resolve all the combats. And I would assume if your supporting units can't join you in the attack, I'm wondering if they still carry out their orders of attack, or do they have the ability to override their orders and say, no, I'm not going to attack. So don't know, thinking about it. I'm looking for comments on this video, and we'll take all of that into account if I get any. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Not much has changed on the server side. We still have the units of send terrain and send index. All that's actually working and working beautifully. I got the mix up actually in the code over there on the selection. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video. And as always, I want to thank y'all for watching.